Okay, students, so welcome to the module 3. We'll be beginning with for the subject direct taxation, lecture number 16. Okay, module 3 is income under head profits and gains from business and profession. So income under the head profits and gains from business or profession, as per VTU syllabus, it covers how to compute the income from PGBP. When I say PGBP, it is nothing but profits and gains from business or profession. Then what is the basic method of accounting that is followed in the business or profession? Then scheme of business deductions and allowances. As we have seen, under every head, there are certain deductions given, certain allowances given. So what is the scheme of business deductions and allowances under the head income from business or profession? Then what is the meaning of deemed profits under business or profession? How do the business and profession maintain, or how should they maintain the books of accounts or maintain the books? Then depreciation, which is very important. And then under this module, you will be having problems on computation of income from business and profession of individual SSC and depreciation. So based on all these provisions, you will be having problems on computation of income from business and profession of individual SSC and depreciation. So remember, the problems are only pertaining to the individual SSC and only on depreciation. So today we will be covering computation of income under profits and gains from business or profession, like how to compute income if any person is running a business or having a profession. Then how do we compute the income from that business and profession so that we know what tax he is liable to pay on it, the income. Next is basic method of accounting. As we know, there are different method of accounting. So what is the basic method of accounting that is usually followed by the SSC who's carrying out the business and profession, and scheme of business deductions and allowances. So today we will be covering this aspect. Okay. Students, can you tell me what is the meaning of profit? Can any student tell me what is the meaning of profit? Because here it is profit or gains from business or profession. So what is the meaning of profit? Can anyone tell me before we begin with the lecture of today? Can any student tell me what is the meaning of profit?
Expenses are deducted in income, remaining is the profit.
So very good. Whatever income a business is generating, when you deduct all the expenses of the business from the income that you're generating, it becomes your profit. And that profit is nothing but your net income on which you're liable to pay tax. Correct? Very good. Now let us understand what is the meaning of business and profession. Correct? So now, what is the meaning of business? Because we should know what is the meaning of business. We should know what is the meaning of profession. We already know what is the meaning of profit. So business includes any trade, commerce, or manufacture, or any adventure or concern in the nature of trade, commerce, or manufacture. So just remember, if any SSC is carrying out trade or manufacture, it means he is carrying out a business. Now, can any student tell me what is the difference between trading and manufacturing? Or when I say an SSC is into trade business, or when an SSC into is a manufacture business. So what is the difference between manufacture and trade? Can any student tell me? Okay. Manufacture is nothing but when a particular SSC is purchasing some raw material and he himself is converting that raw material into some other form, okay, into some other finished goods. It is called as manufacturing, or the SSC is into manufacture. That is what we say when he is purchasing a particular raw material and converting it into some other form, giving it some other characteristics to that particular product. Then we say he's a manufacturer. And trading means nothing but when he is just purchasing an article, not doing any activity on that article, not converting that article into some other product. He's just purchasing an article and selling the same article without converting that article into some other form. It is called trading. So when any SSC is into trading business, like just he purchases the materials, sell the material, then he's said to be doing trading. Manufacture means when he's purchasing some material, he's converting its characteristics, is converting into some another form, then it is called manufacture. So if any SSC is doing trade or manufacture, then it is called as he is doing a business. And whatever income is generating from that business, it will be taxable under the head profits and gains from business or profession. Next, what is the meaning of profession? Is profession and business the same? Let me tell you, students, business and profession are not the same. Profession means where the term profession has not been defined in the Act, Income Tax Act, but it means an occupation requiring some degree of learning. And the term profession includes vocation as well. So remember, students, profession means where some degree of talent, some degree of learning is required. Business can be carried out by anyone, but to carry out a profession, some learning is required. For example, doctor's profession. When a doctor is having its own clinic, that means he's carrying out his profession in that clinic. He's not carrying out business. To become a doctor and to start a clinic, he requires some degree of learning. No one can just start a clinic, doctor clinic, right? Similarly, a profession of lawyer, when a lawyer is giving his services in the office, then he's said to be carrying out a profession, not a business. So similarly, services of a chartered accountant, when he's giving consultation, when he is he's playing the role of an auditor, so he's carrying out his profession and not a business. Suppose a tutor, online tutor is there, so he has to apply a degree of learning when he's imparting that particular knowledge to others. So he's performing his profession and he's not carrying out a business. And includes vocation as well. Now, what is the meaning of vocation? Vocation is nothing but where you do something out of your passion, where you carry out some activity, some kind of event out of your passion, and where you're willing to do that particular event. When I say that I am into a teaching field, I am a teacher, so it is my profession. But suppose if I am interested in that and I'm willing to do that, then I will be said to be carrying out a vocation. Where I am passionate about teaching, then it is I am carrying out a vocation. So profession means vocation as well. So hope you all have understood the difference between business and profession. So whatever income is generated, even from carrying out a profession, still it will be taxed under the head income from business and profession. So I hope, students, this slide is clear to everyone. Is this clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Next, see, these are the basic things in this chapter. Okay. Next, I told you all trading, correct? In this trade, what did I tell you all? I told you all that it is nothing but you're just purchasing some articles and selling it off. You're not converting it into any form. So trade, this word trade can be trading, it can be divided into speculative business and non-speculative business. So the business can be divided into two types. Speculation business. Just remember, before I read out what is this, just remember, speculation business means a business where there is actually no delivery of any commodity. So you're carrying out a business, means you're selling the commodities, but where there is actually no delivery of the commodity. So when such business you're carrying out, it is called as speculative business. So let me just read this. Speculative transaction means a transaction in which a contract for the purchase or sales of any commodity, including stocks and shares, is periodically or ultimately settled otherwise than by actual delivery or transfer of commodity or scripts. See, when you're trading in, when there is a company who is trading trading in purchase and sale of shares. Now, when you are actually purchasing or selling the shares, do you have the actual delivery of the shares with you? Or just it is settled by the way of electronic means, or do you actually receive the shares in your hands in this era? No. So that is what is speculative business, where there is no actual delivery of commodities. And on the other hand, non-speculative business means where there will be an actual delivery or transfer of commodities or scripts. So business can be divided into two types: speculative business, where there is no actual delivery of the commodity, but yes, the trade happens, the sale happens, the purchase takes place. So it is called speculation business. And non-speculative businesses where there is actual delivery of commodity or scripts, a normal business trade. I hope the slide is clear. Next. Next, what we have to do is how to compute the income from the head, profits and gains from business and profession. You all already told me what is the meaning of profit. Profit is something which you derive from the P&L account, that is profit and loss account, from where you take all the incomes. From the incomes you deduct all the expenses, the remaining amount is your profit. And you all know what is gain. Gain is some extra benefit that is being received. Like suppose if there is some litigation in the business going on and you have received some compensation from the legal suit, you have received some compensation, so that is your gain. Gain is again nothing but your income. From business or profession, you know what is the meaning of business, you know what is the meaning of profession. Now, how to compute that income from business or profession? Should we directly take the net profit and on that should we calculate the tax on income and profession from business and profession? No. So there are certain steps to be followed, and this computation of income from business or profession is covered under section 29 of the Income Tax Act. So let us understand this particular chart. First, in order to start with the computation of income, we always start with the net profit as per statement of P&L account. I hope you all know what is a P&L account, okay? And P&L account shows all your incomes on one side, all your expenditures on other side. When you minus that, you get the net profit. So take that net profit. Next, what you have to do is add the expenses debited to the statement of P&L account but not allowable. See, under Income Tax Act, what is there is, there are certain expenses which you will debit it to the P&L account. You know, debit side all the expenses in the P&L account, debit side you have all the expenses, credit side you have all the incomes. So there can be certain expenses on the debit side, okay, which you have considered while calculating the net profit, but as per the Income Tax Act, such expenses are not allowable. When I say not allowable, means such expenditures are not to be allowed to be deducted while calculating the net profit. And still, if they are deducted, then you will add back all those expenses which are not allowable but debited to your statement of P&L account. So I hope you have understood this line item. In detail, regarding each of the item, we have a separate explanation in the succeeding slides or maybe succeeding lectures. But initially, have you all understood what does this particular statement mean? Everyone, did you all get it? What does this mean? Students, I'm talking to you all.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Later, you have to less expenditures allowable as deduction but not debited to the statement of P&L account. Sometimes while preparing P&L account, a business may miss out certain expenditures to be debited to the P&L account, correct? So, but those expenditures are actually allowed under the Income Tax Act. So if they are allowed, obviously to derive at the correct net profit on which you're going to charge the tax, income tax, you are going to deduct such expenses. So such expenses you will less it That is expenditures allowable as deduction, but they are not debited to the statement of P&L account. You're going to take the benefit of this. Next, what are these expenses? What are the expenses allowable? What are the expenses not allowable? In detail, we will be seeing, students. Next, you are going to less incomes credited in the statement of P&L account, but not taxable or taxable under any other head. Suppose the accountant by mistake, he's taken certain incomes in the P&L account of a business, whereas those incomes had to be taken under some other head, like maybe income from other sources or income from capital gains, but he has taken that income in the P&L account on the income side. So that means it is added to the net profit. So such incomes which are not taxable under the act, or which are taxable under some other head, the four other heads which are remaining, if they're taxable under those heads, then why will it come into picture while calculating income from the head profits and gains from business or profession? Therefore, such income has to be deducted while deriving at the correct net profit, okay, as per the statement of P&L account, on which income tax is to be leviable. Okay. Once we do this, we have to add deemed income. Now, what is the meaning of deemed income? I'll tell you. In deemed income means, I'll just give you an example. You all know what is bad debts? Bad debts is nothing but we know that a particular debtor is not going to pay the amount back. Suppose if you have made a sales to a particular customer and we are doubting that the customer will pay the money, sales money, we treat that amount as bad debts in our books. Now, subsequently, after suppose 10 years or 5 years down the lane, that customer has given back the money to us. So first, bad debts, we have treated it as an expense and taken the benefit. But after some years, if we have recovered the bad debts amount, then it is a deemed income. Deemed income means earlier it was a expense to us, but at the later stage, we have recovered that expense amount. So it is a deemed income. So all such deemed income which we are receiving subsequently has to be added back, because remember students, income has to be added, expense has to be deducted, correct? So once we add this deemed income and once we take the total of all the figures, we get profits and gains from business or profession, and on this amount whatever we are deriving, we will be charging tax on that particular SSE. And this is the way, this is the format in which you are going to compute the income from the head profits and gains from business or profession. So again, like in salaries, I kept on revising the format, okay, till we complete this particular chapter. I will still keep on revising this particular format. Okay. Now, what all are the expense to be debited and not allowable, allowable but not debited, not taxable or taxable under the other head, and what all comes under deemed income? We will be individually seeing all these items in detail. Next. Next, we have already seen how to compute the income from the head, profits and gains from business or profession. Next, what are the basic methods of accounting? Students, any SSE who's carrying out business or profession, okay, he has to maintain his books of accounts. This even you all know, you all are aware of it. Now, there are different methods of accounting that can be followed by the SSE. Now, the two different methods of accounting that can be usually followed by the SSE is cash system of accounting or mercantile system of accounting. So remember, the two basic methods of accounting that can be followed by an SSE. Who is an SSE? A person who is liable to pay tax. Okay. When he's computing his income from the head, profits or gains of business or profession, it is dependent on his P&L account, on his balance sheet. Correct? Now, P&L account is prepared basis your accounting. If accounting is then only you can prepare P&L account. That particular accounting can be prepared in, or there are two methods of accounting that can be can be followed by the SSC, that is cash system of accounting or mercantile system of accounting. Now, what is the meaning of cash system of accounting? This I think I've already covered in my first semester, but let me just revise. In cash, if any SSC is following cash basis of accounting, he will make the entry only when the actual cash is received in terms of receipts, and when actual cash payment he is making in terms of expenditures, then only he will record it in the books of accounts. So under cash system of accounting, what happens, students? Only when there is cash is actually collected or cash is actually dispersed means when the cash is actually paid, then only the entry comes in the books. In cash system of accounting, there is no system of accrual. That means accrual, as you all know, that cash is not received, it is yet to be received, outstanding cash. So in the system of accrual or mercantile, what happens is, even if the cash is not received, it is yet to be received or prepaid or outstanding. If those entries are recorded, it is said to be a system of mercantile system or accrual concept. But in case of cash system of accounting, only the accounting is done only on cash basis. When you're receiving cash, you will account for it. When you're making payment in cash, you will account for it. You will not account for all the outstandings, all the prepaids, expenses or incomes will not be recorded. Next, let us understand what is mercantile system of accounting. Now, you all know that mercantile system of accounting, as I already told you all, means income which has been, whether it has been actually received or not, but if it is relating to a particular financial year, you will record it. And expenditure, whether it is actually paid or not, but it is payable, it is outstanding for that particular financial year, you will still record it. So this is called mercantile system of accounting. So if the books are kept on the mercantile, usually the books are usually kept on the mercantile system of accounting, okay? So the income is taxable as and when it is accrued or as and when it is earned, irrespective whether you're receiving cash or no on it. Whether you're receiving cash or no is irrelevant, but under mercantile system of accounting, you will account it as and when it is outstanding or due. So students, have you all understood the basic methods of accounting? In my notes, I will in detail give you all what is cash system of accounting and mercantile system of accounting. In this particular slide, I have just written there are two methods of accounting usually followed by the SSC under the, while calculating the income chargeable under the head profits and gains from business or profession, that is either cash or mercantile system of accounting. Is this clear, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next. Now, next, first of all, we have seen how to compute the income under the head profits and gains from business or profession. Second thing, we have seen what is the basic methods of accounting that can be followed by the SSC, whether cash, it can follow cash system of accounting or mercantile system of accounting. Third, we are going to see under the head business and profession, what are the business deductions or allowances. Now, when I say business deductions or allowances, means what are the expenses which the which can be considered or allowable expenses, okay, and what are the different allowances. So they are covered from the section 30, because section 29 of Income Tax Act talks about computation of income and gains from business or profession. So the deduction section starts from section 30 to 43D. Okay. Now let us look into the first part. First part is admissible deductions from section 30 to 37. When I say admissible deductions, that means while calculating income from the head, business or profession, okay, whatever expenses are mentioned from section 30 to 37, they are allowed to be deducted from the income while calculating the net profit. So they are allowable deductions or allowable expenses. What are those? In detail, we will be seeing individual tabs. Next is inadmissible deductions. Inadmissible deductions which are covered under section 40. So under from section 30 to 37, we have admissible expenses which are allowable to be deducted while calculating the net profit or gain from business or profession. Next, inadmissible deductions means such expenses are not allowed, though the business has incurred such expenses, but they are not allowed to be deducted. What are those list of expenses? We will be seeing under section 40. Third is expenses or payments not deductible in certain circumstances. 40A means if if a particular expense is meeting a particular condition or criteria, okay, it will be allowed. And suppose if it is not meeting a particular condition or criteria, it will be disallowed. When I say disallowed means not allowed, and when I say allowed means it is allowed to be deducted from the P&L account. Next, profits chargeable to tax. This profits chargeable to tax is nothing but the deemed income or deemed profit, which I have already told you, like recovery of bad debts. Okay, this in detail we will see under section 41. And other provisions. Other provisions means under Income Tax Act, the act says that certain expenses are allowed as a deduction or can be allowed to be deducted while calculating the net profit only if actually the payment is made. If actually the payment is not made, you cannot take that particular expense as a deduction. So we will be individually studying all this, and this is the basic to derive at the profit and gain from business or profession. So if you know all these provisions thoroughly, students, all these sections thoroughly, then you can solve any problem from the head, income and gains from business or profession. Because in exam they will just give you a P&L account, okay, where they'll give you incomes, where they'll give you expenditures. You have to just see which income is allowable, which income is not allowable while calculating profits and gains from business or profession. Similarly, you have to just analyze whether a particular expense is allowable or not allowable, and that analysis will be based on the study of these particular sections from section 30 to 43D. So let us first now see what are the admissible deductions and from section 30 to 37. So let us see the admissible deductions. Now, what is the meaning of admissible deductions? That is expenses which are expressly allowed. Allowed means you can take the deduction of it, you can minus these expenses from your income while deriving the net profit. Okay, so first under section 30, see, it is not necessary you remember the sections. Whichever is important section, I will tell you all to remember. Section 30 says that any rent, rates, taxes, repairs and insurance for the building, if you are paying, if the business is paying. Now if I'm carrying out a business and if I am paying any rent, okay, if I am paying any taxes or if I'm carrying out any repairs and insurance for the office building, then such expenditure I am allowed to deduct from the income to calculate the net profit from the head, to calculate the net profit, okay, chargeable under the head profits and gains from business or profession. So let us first analyze this particular sentence. Okay, see students, suppose I'm an SSC, okay, and I'm occupying a premises. If I'm occupying the premises as a tenant, see, it is, if I'm carrying out a business, it is not necessary that that particular premise I am owning. I can take on rent a particular premise and I can start off the business. So if I'm taking the premises on rent, then I have to pay the rental charges of such premises. Okay, and suppose if any repairs are there for such premises also, I have to bear. So all these expenses relating to the office building or the place where I'm carrying out my business, such expenses I'm allowed to minus from the income. Suppose if I am the owner of that particular property and I am carrying out the business in that particular premises, then whatever taxes I am paying, whatever municipal taxes I am paying, that will be allowed as a deduction. Next, suppose if I'm taking a premium, suppose if I'm paying an insurance premium, okay, for what? For protecting my property. Like suppose if I'm taking a insurance coverage for whatever destruction damage happens to the building, okay, I have to pay an insurance premium to get the insurance cover. So whatever insurance I am paying for the office building, that will be allowed as a deduction. So remember students, rent, rates, taxes, repairs and insurance for the building of the office building where I'm carrying out the business, there I will be getting a deduction. Next is repairs and insurance of machinery, plant and furniture. Students, to carry out any business relating to the manufacture, I require machinery, I require plant, and for carrying out any business, furniture is utmost required. Now suppose over a period of time, what happens, there can be some wear and tear in that machinery, plant or furniture. So if I carry out any current repairs, okay, to that particular machinery, plant or furniture, if some repairing work I am doing on it, or if I've taken insurance coverage for that particular machinery, plant or furniture, and whatever premium I'm paying on that insurance coverage, it will be allowed as a deduction. That means I can deduct that expenditure from the income in order to calculate the net profit. So it is an allowable deduction. It is an allowable expense. Okay. Next is depreciation, section 32. Depreciation in detail we will be studying separately, covering it in a separate lecture because it is very big. I have to cover various aspects because as per VTU syllabus, you also have problems on depreciation. So this depreciation part I will be covering separately in a separate lecture, but I'll just tell you what is depreciation. See, every business will be having assets, correct? And depreciation, as we know, is nothing but a fall in the value, excuse me students, fall in the value of the asset, okay, due to wear and tear, or maybe due to advancement in technology, okay, they can be fall in the value of asset. So how to depreciate the assets in the business in terms of income tax? Remember, in accounting, depreciation is different. In terms of income tax, the depreciation, what you have to do, the rates that you have to apply in terms of depreciation on that assets will be different as per the act. Then what method of depreciation has to be followed, how to calculate the WDV, that is the written down value of a particular asset. All these separately in detail we will be studying in a separate lecture. But remember students, depreciation also is an allowable expense while calculating the net profit. Next is section 32AC, investment allowance for acquisition and installation of new plant and machinery. So if any SSC, now you know SSCs, there are so many, there is an individual, there is company, partnership firm, local authority, so LLP. So there are so many uh, SSCs falling under the definition of a person. So this investment allowance for acquisition and installation of plant and machinery, this particular expense is allowed as a deduction only and only to a SSC who is a company. Okay, and that too a company who is registered as a company, not an individual, and that too a company who is engaged in the business of manufacture or production of article or thing. Then he will be getting a deduction if he is investing in a new plant and machinery. When I say new plant and machinery, it does not include any machinery which is already used earlier. Second hand machinery, no. If a particular business which is run by a company and he's purchasing new plant and machinery, then he will get a deduction. Next, expenditure on scientific research. Among all these, what is important, I will tell you all. expenditure on scientific research means any particular business who is carrying out scientific research activity. Obviously, to carry out scientific research, okay, some amount of expenditure is involved. So if he's carrying out such activity, then whatever expenditure is incurring on scientific research, it will be allowed as a deduction. Okay. Next, expenditure on acquisition of patent rights and copyright. So if any particular business wants to acquire some secret formula or some secret design, okay, which is either a patent right or copyright, then such expenditure what the business is incurring to acquire such a secret formula or the copyright or patent right, then it will be an allowable expenditure. Next. Next is expenditure on eligible projects or scheme. Now, if a particular business or a SSE is contributing some money towards public sector companies or to a local authority or maybe to an association which is approved by a national committee, which is under this all these eligible scheme and projects, okay, that is defined, that includes public sector companies, that includes local authorities, that includes all those associations that are approved by national committee. If the business is putting such money or such is doing certain expenditures on these projects, then it will be allowed as an deduction. Next, deduction in respect of specified businesses. Now, when I say specified businesses, under the Income Tax Act, there are 14 such businesses, 14 such businesses which are specified businesses. And if any person is carrying out such specified business, that the expenditure incurred by him will be allowed. Now, what is the quantum of expenditure? 100% of capital expenditure will be fully allowed. Now, I'll just give you a few examples of specified businesses. There are 14 such businesses, but I'll just give you examples of few. In detail, 14 I'll be specifying in the notes. So suppose if any business is of operating a cold chain facility, or if any business is into the warehousing facility for storage of agricultural products, or if any business is into operating a new hospital which is having at least 100 beds for the patients, or production of fertilizers in India. So all these are nothing but they are specified businesses. Whatever expenditures incurred by the specified businesses, capital expenditures, it will be allowed as a deduction. Next, expenditure on agricultural extension projects. Now, this is nothing but again, if any SSE is incurring any expenditure on agricultural extension project which is notified by the board. When I say notified means it should be a project which is approved by the board, okay, then deduction will be allowed in respect of such expenditure. Now, what is the quantum of deduction in case of agriculture extension loan is 150% of such expenditure will be allowed as a deduction. Next, expenditure on any skill development project. So where any company is again incurring expenditure on skill development, which is again notified. See, all these projects, whatever is there, no eligible projects, agricultural extension projects, skill development projects, they should be notified. Simply, you cannot put money anywhere and you cannot expect to get the deduction. They have to be notified by the board, then only you will get a deduction. Next, amortization of preliminary expenses. What is preliminary expenses? We know that before starting a business, before commencing, already you all have studied this in PUC, first semester, that whatever expenses are incurred before the commencement of the business, okay, all those expenses you can deduct it from your P&L account, show it in the expenditure side in an installment, okay. Lump sum amount you cannot show it, you have to show it in the installments. And such, when you're amortizing or when you're allocating such preliminary expenses to the P&L account, it is allowed as a deduction while calculating the profits. Okay. Next is amortization of expenditure in case of amalgamation or demerger. So when any company is amalgamating, that is coming together, two or more companies when they come together, it is called amalgamation. Demerger is when they two or more companies when they separate, when they demerge themselves. So whatever expenses are incurred in the amalgamation or demerger, 1/5 of such expenditure every year you can show it in your P&L account and it will be allowable expenditure. Next is amortization of expenditure incurred under VRS. Now, VRS is voluntary retirement scheme. So when obviously when anyone is voluntary retiring, the company has to give some compensation. So whatever expenditure is incurred by the company for the purpose of voluntary retirement scheme, that expenditure will be an allowable expenditure. Next, deduction for expenditure on prospecting, etc. for certain minerals. So if any Indian company is incurring any expenditure in respect of extracting certain minerals, then that will be allowed as a deduction. Now, most important here in this is section 36 and section 37 and section 32 depreciation. Rest others you have to just go through. You never know when they will be asked in the exam. But the most repeated sections where the expenses are covered, let me tell you, section 36, 37, 32. Okay. Now, under 36, what are the different uh, expenses which will be allowable is insurance premium paid. So students, if you're see, if I'm carrying out any business, I have to maintain stock, correct? So, suppose if I have paying, if I'm taking an insurance coverage for the stock, that if it gets damaged or if it gets stolen, I'm going to get an insurance, correct? To take that insurance coverage, I have to pay premium. So whatever insurance premium I'm paying for the for taking a coverage against the risk of the stock. And remember, that stock should be only for the purpose of business or profession. I cannot take an insurance premium for my house, personal house, and I cannot claim it as a deduction in the uh, while calculating profits and gains from business or profession. So remember, insurance premium paid only for the purpose of business or profession will be allowed. Next, insurance premium paid by Federal Milk Cooperative Society. Again, this is a premium on the lives of the cattle, because Federal Milk Cooperative Society, they generate the milk based on the cattles that they have. So if any whatever premium they are paying on the lives of the cattle, that insurance premium will be allowed as a deduction under section 36. Next, premium paid by the employer for the health insurance of the employees. If employer is taking an health insurance on the life of the employees and he is paying the premium, such expenditure of the employer will be allowed as a deduction. Next, bonus and commission to employees. If an employer is paying certain bonus or commission, it becomes an income to the employee, but it becomes an expenditure to the employer, and such expenditure is an allowable expenditure. Next, interest on borrowed capital. Now, to run a business or profession, obviously, capital is required, and whatever capital the business is borrowing, either through banks or other sources, it has to obviously pay interest on the capital that it is borrowing. So whatever interest it is paying on the borrowed capital, okay, capital means nothing but money, correct? If he's borrowing some money and is paying interest on that for business purpose, again I'm telling business purpose, not for the purpose of personal expenditures. So interest on borrowed capital will be allowed as a deduction. Then discount on zero coupon bonds. Again, if there is any discount given on zero coupon bonds, okay, zero coupon bonds is where there is no interest rate to that. So if any discount it is issued on any at a discount value, if such bonds are issued, that expenditure, obviously when you're issuing something at discount, it is an expenditure to the company. So that expenditure also is an allowable expenditure. Next, employer's contribution to recognized provident or approved superannuation fund. So we have seen that when an employer is contributing to recognized provident fund, it is an expenditure to him. It is an expenditure to the owner. It is an expenditure to the employer. It is an expenditure to the SSE. Therefore, such expenditure is an allowable expenditure. Next, employer's contribution to the account of the employee under the pension scheme. This also is an allowable expenditure, because business and profession means here we have to compute the income of the employer. And in case of salary, we were computing the income of the employee. Now, next is bad debts. Bad debts also is an expenditure. What is the meaning of bad debts? Where we have to actually receive a money from a customer or whom we tell as a debtor, but we know that we are not going to recover the amount back. So we treat it as bad debtors or bad debts. So this is an expense. So this is an allowable expense. Okay. Next is section 37, which is very, very important again. So section 37 is a residuary section, which means that whatever expenses which are not covered from section 30 to 36 will be covered under section 37. So whatever revenue expenditure is incurred for the purpose of carrying out business, profession, or vocation. Remember, revenue expenditure which is not specified under section 30 to 36, but such expenditure is being incurred by the SSE for the purpose of his business or profession, then you can claim deduction under section 37 and such expenditure will be allowed. But again, let me tell you, such expenditure should not be an illegal expenditure. Such expenditure should not be for the purpose of personal stuff. It should not be personal in nature. Such expenditure should be only and only exclusively for the purpose of business. And such expenditure should be incurred in the previous year only. You cannot incur some expenditure 4 years back and claim it in this year. So previous year, whatever expenditures you're incurring, only for that you will get a deduction. So this is general deduction that is under section 37, or residuary deduction or residuary expenses. So these are all the admissible deductions from section 30 to 37. As and when you will be solving problems, you will easily able to identify which are the allowable deductions and not allowable deductions. So thank you, students. By this, we have completed a part of module 3, where we have seen how to compute the income from the head, business and profession. What is the format? We have seen what is the basic methods of accounting to be followed. And under the scheme of deductions from section 30 to 43D, we have just covered one part, that is admissible deductions. We have covered from section 30 to 37. In our next module, in our next lecture, we will be covering what are the inadmissible deductions, what are the deductions allowable only in certain circumstances, what is the meaning of deemed profits, and other provisions. So thank you so much, students. Any doubt up till here?